The recession is coming. In fact, I would argue that the recession is already here. So my question to you is, are you ready? Now, did you know that more millionaires are made in times of recession than when times are actually good? Warren Buffett even says that you can make money when markets are good, in bull markets, but you can actually make a fortune when bear markets are coming. It all comes down to how prepared you are to take advantage of what's coming. Now, make no mistake about it, a financial storm is coming. There are basic principles that you need to follow before and during if you want to make sure you crush it during the recession. Speaking of crushing it, make sure you crush that like and subscribe button if you want to get notified every time I launch a new video helping you win with your money every single day. So let's do this. All right, so the interesting part of a financial storm here is the fact that I just went through Hurricane Ian. I got stuck in Florida. And it's interesting because my experience in the hurricane in Florida, it actually got me to think about what's really going on in the world economy, in the United States economy, and how it impacts you and your life. Let me give you a little correlation here. So when I was in Florida, I was there for an event and I watched as the storm started coming in. Everybody knew it was coming, and I don't think it takes a lot of research for you to figure out that this is happening right now. The yield curve, the 10-year yield curve, say that 10 times fast, got inverted finally for the first time in a while. And every single time we've had that inversion, it's always led to recession. It's like bulletproof. It's happening. There's a lot of stuff going on with inflation. When you look at the political landscape, when you look at just, listen, I'm not going to spend a lot of time in this video trying to convince you it's coming. If you can't see it, well, then I probably can't help you. But the correlation here is when I was in Florida, and I was watching this hurricane come, everybody knew it was coming. Nobody knew exactly what track it was going to take. But what happens is, as these storm cells happen, right? There's a core there's the eye of the storm, and then it just kind of, it goes out, and then it becomes wider. And out here, the wind is lighter. So let's say it's 45 mile per hour winds, and it goes to 70, and at the base it's like 150 miles per hour, right? And so as it starts coming into you, you have to get prepared, and then you get into the storm and it's a little lighter, and you start going, oh, maybe this isn't that bad. And by the time the core hits you, it decimates you, right? And that's what happens. And so where we are right now is I feel like we're already coming up to the edge of the storm. Like, I think we're in a recession right now. Nobody wants to acknowledge it, or none of the official people want to acknowledge the fact that we're already in this recession. Now, that said, I think the wins are happening. That's where we're getting inflation. There's a lot of financial struggle that's already happening with people. We're starting to see 90-day late notices increase on mortgages, on auto loans. We're starting to see more default rates on the subprime markets. We're starting to see credit card lates increase. So there's all sorts of negative inflection in the markets right now in what's happening, right? And I think that is indicative of the fact that we are entering the outside part of this financial storm, if you wanted to visualize it like a hurricane, right? And I don't say this lightly, right? So that's happening. So there are 3 stages of this storm we have to think about. It's like, A, how are we preparing? The same way that people boarded up their houses and prepared for a hurricane coming in, how are you battening down the hatches, right? How are you preparing your finances to make sure that they are stormproof, right? Because that is so important. Look, if you go through, you can watch videos as this hurricane came through in Fort Myers. And I watched this one video, it blew my mind, where every house was just leveled flat. One house in the middle of 100 houses that was stormproofed, literally stormproofed and built to withstand the storm, was stood standing perfectly, didn't even look damaged, right? Everything else around it is flattened. I want to make sure that you are positioned to be able to be that one house in the storm that survives it, right? So how do you prepare? And then what happens is how we act when the storm starts to coming. It starts actually hitting us at the beginning stages, when the winds start to pick up and we start to feel this becoming real in our life. And real in our finances. How do we navigate that? And then ultimately, the real opportunity comes after the core, after the eye goes through, after the wall, the inner wall of this hurricane that just decimated houses in Ian. If you look at Fort Myers, you know what I'm talking about. That's going to be what it's like with a lot of people in their personal finances. That core of this financial storm is going to come through and wipe people out. The question is, are you going to be that one house? Are you going to put yourself in a position where you could be that one house standing? Because if you are, you're set up in a position to take advantage of a lot of opportunity to catapult your wealth forward. And, more importantly, maybe is be in a position where you don't have to worry about survival. You can make an impact on the people around you, right? Like make more of an impact in your community and share this with people and share this concept with other people that will be able to benefit in the same way. So there are things, and the whole reason I'm bringing it up, and I'm using this analogy because there are different things that you need to do in each stage of the journey. Things you need to do to prepare, and while we are running out, the runway is running out, this storm is coming fast, there are things that you can do between now and then so you can prepare and position yourself as best as possible. I don't care where you are. Maybe you feel like you're not able to. Maybe you feel like you don't have enough resources. Maybe you have a lot of resources and you're trying to figure out how do you protect them and leverage them eventually. But how do you make sure you don't lose your money? Regardless of where you are, what I'm going to tell you will work in every economic standing, right? Like no matter what it is. So beginning, middle, and after the storm, right? Those are the three stages of these hurricanes. And the question is, what do you do at each stage? All right, so leading up to the storm, stage one, as the storm's coming in, as you know it's coming, as soon as you believe, like I said, you may have 3 months, you may have 18 months, I don't know. But there are three things that you need to do. You need to invest in yourself. That is skills, knowledge, networks. You need to invest in relationships, people, your community, your networks, because the bottom line is, the people that you surround yourself with now, if it's the right group of people, it's going to open up a world of opportunity for you, or it's also going to help you navigate and be protected through the process. And then you also need to make sure that you protect your money. You need to fortify your money. You need to make sure that that money is galvanized and cannot be lost no matter what happens in the economy. Like I said, you need to be that one house. You need to make sure that your assets are positioned in a way where you cannot lose them. In times like this, when the hurricane's coming, it's not trying to earn a lot of money at the beginning. You make a lot of money by avoiding losses. That is really where the opportunity is here. So at the beginning, as the storm is coming in, for you to prepare right now, the next, like I said, 3 to 18, maybe 24 months, I think, depending on how it all goes, you need to invest in yourself, build your skills, build your knowledge, realize the opportunities on the back end of everything, right? And whatever that is, whether you think it's crypto or stocks or real estate, it doesn't really matter. It's not my opinion as far as I have no interest in trying to convince you what is right for you. But the principle is absolute. No matter what industry you're talking about, there's going to be opportunity and sales in every asset class across the board pretty much. And so whatever that looks like on the back end, you need to learn as much about those asset classes, whatever your affinity is, whatever you're drawn to. Learn as much about that. Invest in communities, organizations, your own technical ability, and surround yourself with the relationships of those things, and then protect your money going into that, right? That is what you need to do pre-storm. Now, when the storm starts coming in, now we got to take it to the next level. The good news with that is if you've done it properly and you've protected your money and you've got the house in the storm that is fortified, that cannot be washed away with a storm surge, right? Like if you know that you're protected, the key is to just keep being patient, to keep waiting it out, to keep investing in relationships. Remember, what happens is as the storm comes, a lot of people, as the storm's coming in, they go, it's no big deal, I'm just gonna ride it out. It's not gonna be as bad as we think it is, right? Like it's not gonna be as bad as a weatherman says, or maybe it'll veer off and it just won't hit us directly. It's not going to be horrible. But then the winds start picking up and they go, it's not that bad. Listen, it feels windy, but look, this isn't that bad. 45 mile per hour winds, not horrible. And then it gets up to 70 and they're like, okay, this kind of sucks, but it's not going to ruin everything, right? Whatever. And it's still not real. And they still don't regret not fortifying their house. And then all of a sudden it's a category 5 and it's 150 mile per hour winds, and everything is getting destroyed. They lose their job. They have no more income. They don't have any savings. They're not positioned, or if you do have income and you have your 401k, you're coming up to retirement, you're doing all these things, all of a sudden your whole financial life is turned on its head because of the fact that you took it all for granted and you didn't take it seriously. Now, the good news is if you fortified yourself properly and you are that house that is fortified, I would still say you need to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people that are kind of in the same mindset, outlook as you, who are doing the same things as you, who are looking for the same opportunities, who are looking through the same lens as you to prepare. Because if you do, it's gonna, once again, it's gonna open up opportunity. But I would say as this happens, if the trajectory, whoa, where's my marker? If the trajectory is going this way, right? If the trajectory of this is going this way, that's the way the hurricane is going, and it's coming through and you're here, and then you're here, and then you're here, and it's gonna get really bad. And then what's gonna happen is before you know it, you're gonna be here and here and here, and then you're gonna be out of it, right? And you're gonna be really good out of the storm. And this is where the opportunities are gonna start to exist, is right here, here, and ultimately here, once the storm passes. And if you can prepare yourself for that, that is ultimately what we're talking about. You got the pre-storm, you're in the storm, and then after the storm is when you actually have the ability to create wealth. Because what happens is this, is it's a pendulum effect, right? Like, so if you look at the pendulum, you know, I guess if you look at a pendulum, right, and the pendulum will swing from one side to another, right? It's always swinging back and forth, right? I don't know if this analogy is going to work very well, but like as far as the image of it. But like when you look at the pendulum going back and forth here, it swings. Now, ultimately, the pendulum belongs in the middle. But when we have storms come through, some people that, you know, don't do anything, the pain over here, we'll just say pain and gain, right? The pain as it swings over here, super painful for some people because they didn't prepare, because they didn't have the right insurance, because they didn't have their foundation built properly, because of all that. What happens is the gain for the people that do it the right way gets much bigger. Now, ultimately, all things being equal, the gain, the opportunity, this is just opportunity, is the same for everybody, right? But the bottom line is those who are prepared, the opportunity ball swings way over to one side for the people that are prepared, way more, while everybody over here that's not prepared suffers on a more drastic level. But that's the bottom line, is if you're one of the 5% of the people and most people are suffering, I'm not saying take advantage of people suffering. Like, please don't interpret it like that. But what I am saying is when people are struggling over here, they have to make decisions based on need, based on survival. Now, if you can put yourself in a position where you're able to, sure, serve and help people a little bit in ways that you know is going to be contributing to the well-being of society, but you also, what will happen is you will gain. You are going to be the one who wins the most in this scenario. And what will happen at the end of this is you're going to have a couple things that will happen, is that asset prices are going to be going to be reduced. So reduced asset prices. So the beautiful thing here is you're going to buy low so you can sell high. If you always know that you're able to buy right, then you know it's really hard to lose, because the fact that, like, if you look at, and these are the areas that I'm really bullish on right now long term after we get through this. I wouldn't say any of these are great investments right now. I would make the argument that sometimes real estate can make sense for if you want to have a single family home or something like that, because you're going to live in it and it's a long-term thing. And we're looking at it from a cash flow perspective, and you know that you're going to have money every single month that has to come out of your lifestyle to pay for your living expenses. Well, then real estate from a single family home perspective is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about real estate investing, where you probably would want to wait to actually invest in real estate right now because of the fact that I think the market's going to get nasty. Now, that said, it will bounce back, and that's where the opportunity is going to get really good. Crypto, stocks, I'm not a big stock guy, but you know, I wouldn't say, remember, this isn't mutual funds, this is stocks, this is investing in companies, finding deals. Think about, like, what would Warren Buffett do? He's going to find, as we talk about, Harry Dent talks about this a lot. There's a lot of zombie companies right now that are actually not able to manage their debt properly. As this crisis happens, we're going to have a lot of companies that borderline default on their debt, that really struggle. Asset prices, stock prices, valuations of companies, PE ratios, everything's going to get jacked up. And so what we're going to see is there's going to be a lot of opportunity in these three areas. So this is what I'm saying. Right now, as we're entering it, first thing you need to do is invest in yourself. What does that mean? Learn. Where are the opportunities? If you're drawn to real estate, where are the opportunities in real estate for you right now? If crypto is your thing, where are the opportunities? Is it in specific coins? Is it in technologies? Is it companies operating on the blockchain? As we come through this recession, if you really dive into investing in your own knowledge and development for yourself and the community, you can learn things about different crypto networks, different crypto companies, different problems that blockchain technology is going to solve that are created by the recession, right? And if you can get ahead of that, that's where opportunity is created. That's where wealth is created. Once again, these times of challenge and hardship can create massive problems and massive struggle for most people in the world. But if you could put yourself in a position where you could take advantage of it, you can be one of the few that actually don't worry about surviving, you worry about thriving. And it could be a generational wealth shift. And not just for you. When I say generational, I'm talking about, this can be significant. We're talking about asymmetric returns, meaning very little risk, monstrous returns. We're talking 100x opportunities will be just abounding all around us. So those are the things. So once again, financial storm is coming. We're coming into it right now. We may even be right here right now, right? It may be coming right on us. We may be out here. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know, right? But I know it's coming. I don't know how long it'll be, right? But you need to be prepared. And all I know is the best time to plan is way out here. And if we're here or here, you better get on your donkey and better get going with it, because it's coming and it's going to get real. And it is going to probably be the hardest, the most intense hurricane financially that we've ever experienced in our lives. And I'm not saying that lightly. I'm not trying to be doomsday. I'm not trying to be catastrophic about this from like a fear-mongering perspective. I'm simply saying what I see, and I'm doing it from an encouragement perspective to help you realize that you can either suffer or you can thrive. And what you do between now and when it comes and when it hits, when the winds start to increase, is going to be the difference between you living a life that you love and really questioning why you didn't do what you should have done when you know you should have done it, right? And that's a big thing. So that's it. If you have any questions, comment in the comment section below. Once again, if you found value in this, please like it, share it, subscribe. I'm going to be doing a lot of content on this as it continues. Hopefully you found value in this. I had a little fun with the analogy. Hopefully it makes sense to you and the correlation is there. But yeah, that's it. Until next video, have a blessed, inspirational day. We'll talk soon. See ya.